The transfer window is wide open now. The transfers that have been rumored for the last few months, and Fabrizio Romano has tweeted about every single one of them about 27 times, and he's finally giving the here we go. The floodgates have opened. There's a few transfers I really want to talk about today, and a club that is absolutely crushing it during the window. But I got to start with Dortmund, because Borussia Dortmund, as my team, has me very nervous going into this season, because not just from the results we've seen over the course of the last few weeks. We tied against, of course, world-class Erzgebirge. I mean, you know they made a great run in the Europa League last year or something. I don't know. I've never heard of them before. BG Pathum United beat us 4-0. Wow. I think that's a Vietnamese League One team. I might be wrong. And then Cerezo Osaka, which is Japan. I know where Osaka is. I do got that one. We won that game, so maybe we're on the right track. It's not looking promising. And I'll tell you what, you might say, well, we're only playing young guys and new potential players for our team in those games, which is only kind of true. We've had a lot of starters in those games as well. It's concerning, to say the least. And Nuri Sahin is taking over, and of course it's going to take time. We've got a completely new era. After Dortmund made a run to the Champions League final, lost to Real Madrid, it has just been a dumpster fire since then. Because Mats Hummels, and the best way to put this is, had beef with our manager. Edin Terzic and Mats Hummels, they got beef. All right. And Mats Hummels was saying, I'm not staying at Dortmund unless we get a new manager next season. Because to be fair, even though they made a good run to the final of Champions League, we finished 5th in Bundesliga. And normally we finish 2nd. So this is a big downgrade. Either way, Hummels was like, I'm out if Terzic is still here. I can't do this anymore. And a couple of the other veterans kind of felt the same way. Now, Marco Reus was leaving either way. And so we knew that. And Marco Reus has been the face of this team for the last, over a decade now. And so just seeing Marco Reus leave was already it felt weird. Like, we're entering a season where Marco Reus is not on the roster, and that makes me want to cry. But we also don't have Edin Terzic anymore because he resigned due to the internal issues that were being caused by Mats Hummels. Mats Hummels is not being signed again because of those issues that were caused. And players who supported him, like Niklas Fullkrug, are now on their way out as well. And the thing is, I feel like we could have re-signed Hummels and Fullkrug. Because Fullkrug was, even though he's not like the standard FIFA beast that all the young kids want to see, that is a definition of a pure target man, all right? He might not be having the pace to get him behind all too much, but his hold-up play is spectacular. His technique is ridiculously good. He's really good in the air. His finishing is superb. He's a striker. Just bring the big boy back. That's what I'm saying. But the thing is Dortmund signed Sirhau Girassi from Stuttgart, who finished above us in the league and beat us both times we played them. So Stuttgart were obviously very good. And Girassi was one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga. So having two spectacular strikers on the payroll, if you're only going to have a system with one striker, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so Fullkrug is now on the move to West Ham. And West Ham are having an absolute field day with signings right now. They've signed 3 players in the last couple of weeks, and I think all 3 signings are spectacular. So the first signing, Max Kilman, happened a couple of weeks ago. Might not have even been that long ago. I might be completely lying about that being a few weeks ago. Either way, he came in from Wolves for $47.5 million, which does seem like a little bit too much. But the thing is that every single transfer that happens between an English team and another English team gets like a 50% tax to it because they're so rich now due to all the branding and TV rights that they've gotten, all this money, that Premier League is really just winning the transfer windows. And if you're going from one Premier League team to the other, it seems like you're paying an exorbitant amount. I don't know if that is how you say the word. Exorbitant. Exorbitant. It sounds right when I say it, I think. But it's one of those words where if you say it too much, it just doesn't sound like a word anymore. And that's the problem. Either way, we've seen that before. Like Declan Rice going from West Ham to Arsenal went for over 100 million, which, in my opinion, even though he is very good, is never going to happen. Like, would he have gone for 100 million if he came from Dortmund to Arsenal? No. Would it have been 100 million if he came from Napoli to Arsenal? Absolutely not. It would have been like 50 to 60 mil. That's the truth. And so when you're going from one Prem team to the other, it just seems like there is an inflation there. Absolutely. And that's an example right there. But is that a great signing? Absolutely. That is such a good signing. Max Kilman is going to be worth every penny of that fee because he's going to slot right into that starting 11. And on top of that, I think that West Ham's midfield is spectacular. They beef up their forward, just a striker, and they beef up their defense, and they're going to be competing for top 6. Absolutely, they will be. Now, last year they were a mid-table team, among other mid-table teams, such as, of course, Manchester United. So, of course, they're looking to improve upon that finish, but they were in no danger all season. Definitely one of the better clubs. I mean, 14 wins, 10 draws, 14 losses, just straight down the middle. But they did concede 74 goals. 74 goals is a lot of goals to concede. It's actually surprising how high they finished, given the fact that the next team that conceded more than 74 goals got relegated. So the other 3 teams that conceded over 70 goals, the other 3 teams in the league that conceded over 70, they all got relegated. And West Ham finished 9th. So Max Kilman is absolutely very much so needed for that back line. And he was a big part in the reason why, honestly, Wolves probably stayed up as well. Because Wolves they did not start well. They couldn't score any goals, but they held on. And Matheus Cunha and Max Kilman, I think, were the 2 shining stars of that squad during the season. And now West Ham have to fix that issue. So that's what they're looking to do moving into this season, obviously, picking up Max Kilman, but also picking up Nicholas Fullkrug, who they got for 27 million euros, which I think is a great deal. He is 31. But he has proven himself on the world stage over the course of the last year. And so I think that those 2 signings are absolutely, literally, I would give them A+. Both of those signings are A+. Crescencio Summerville, I might give a B. I'll give a B because, again, you're spending 29 million on a player who is so off and on. Sure, his potential is very, very high, but we've seen him hit form for Leeds and then just disappear for a while. And then he comes back and you're like, oh, forgot about that guy. And now he's at West Ham, and I don't know if he even slots into the starting 11, but does he add depth off the bench? Absolutely. And that's kind of what Leeds even used him for a lot of the time. But you look at the potential starting 11 for this team going into the next season, and you've got, a solid starting 11. Now that you've got Max Kilman at center back, along with Agard, you've got Cresswell and Kufal, who are bang average outside backs, but they're very reliable. They have been with West Ham for quite a few years now, and they have been the go-to guys. And so the chemistry is absolutely going to be there with a lot of these guys. Thomas Souček and Ward-Prowse especially, because those 4 players I just mentioned are all players who have been with West Ham for a while, and they have been consistently playing most minutes of every single season. Just the backbone of a team that just needs a little bit more to get over the edge. The backbone of a team that could really push for top 6 and get themselves in a European competition going into the 2025-2026 season. That is insane to actually say out loud. The 2025, I feel like it was just a few minutes ago. I was playing Nuketown 2025 in my parents' basement when I was 12 years old on the way home from middle school. And now it's about to be 2025. And it might be Nuketown. You never know. That could be right around the corner as well. Oh, man. I digress. Back to the squad. Mohamed Kudus, probably their best signing of the last few years. They signed him mid-season of 22-23. And he immediately made a big impact for that team. And then last year, kind of filled in a lot at that striker role. He's definitely more comfortable in an attacking mid position. And I really, really like the way that this team lines up in a 4-2-3-1, because what it has is so much balance and so much dominance over that midfield. And even though the wingers might not be creeping up the field quite as much as you would like, if you're an attacking-minded player, this is going to have a lot more structural integrity keep them from conceding over 70 goals this season, not just Max Kilman at the back. But you add Nicholas Fullkrug to the striker position, a player who just scores goals. And he's not going to get in behind, but if you have outside attacking mids like Mohamed Kudus, he will. And Nicholas Fullkrug can hold up play like none other. And so this is going to be a very, very good team. And, of course, Edson Alvarez as midfielder depth. Of course, he is injured right now. But this is a good squad. You've got Crescencio Summerville off the bench. It's got the depth to make a run. And the thing is, they don't have to worry about European competitions this year. So they're going to have that advantage against other teams in the Premier League, like Man United, not Chelsea, of course, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. So Aston Villa have been that team, that team that have made the moves over the last few years and made their move up into the Champions League now. And that's going to be really, really fun to see Aston Villa in the Champions League. The only problem is, will they have the depth to be able to compete in Champions League, all of the national competitions like FA Cup in England, and then also be able to put up the same kind of results that they did this year in the Premier League? And I think the answer is no. And so I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham jumps Aston Villa in the league this season. I think Aston Villa goes down. I think West Ham goes up. I think West Ham pushes into the top 6. That's going to be the team that these real big 6 teams, like the traditional big 6, which is City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, and United, are going to be fighting with. And for the last few years, it's been Newcastle, it's been Aston Villa. It's going to be West Ham this year. Throwback to the mid 2010s now. But that's going to be all for today. I'm going to probably cover a couple more teams that are crushing it during the transfer window over the next few days and over the next few weeks. So make sure to subscribe here on Nitro Charged if you want to see that. And let me know down in the comments what other transfers have surprised you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.